औज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम कुल हुवल्लाहु अहद अल्लाहुस समद लम यलिद वलम यूलद वलम यकुल लहू कुफुवन अहद सदक़ल्लाहुल अज़ीम.
I guess we can welcome all of you to the province of Sindh and to its capital, Karachi. I guess we'd start with the introductory remarks by Mr. Irfan Shaukat.
Thank you very much, sir. As I'm Irfan Shaukat, Director Program at Foreign Service Academy, Islamabad. On behalf of the Foreign Service Academy and the participant of this 28th Junior Diplomatic course, I would like to thank you for receiving us and for the warm hospitality extended to us by the administration of the Karachi. So the Foreign Service Academy, as part of its outreach efforts, every year invites the diplomats from different countries to showcase them different aspects of Pakistan so that they can see by themselves the diversified culture and traditions of different provinces of Pakistan. So this year also we have invited 18 diplomats from 12 different countries spanning 3 continents who will spend 6 weeks with us. As part of our country tour, we have visited Lahore and now we are visiting Karachi. We arrived here yesterday and we started our official visit by laying the wreath at the Mizar-e-Qaid. And during the 3-day stay, we will now visit some industrial complexes and different departments so that they can have the first-hand information and knowledge about the diversified culture, traditions, and various aspects of the Pakistani society. So, sir, thank you again. Once again, thank you for the warm hospitality extended to us and for the receiving us the delegation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Irfan sir. I'll start off by, quickly asking my colleagues to introduce themselves. I'm Murad Ali Shah, I'm the Chief Minister Sindh. Sharjeel, if you can.
Sharjeel Memon, I'm Minister of Information and Transport.
I'm Qasim Naveed Kamar, I'm the Special Assistant for Investments and Public-Private Partnerships in the province of Sindh.
Ghulam Nabi, Inspector General of Police.
Sweet.
Hello, I am Ibrahim Job from the Republic of the Gambia. I work with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation and Gambians abroad. Thank you for having us.
Hello, I'm Claude Marcia Yao from Côte d'Ivoire. Thank you for your hospitality.
I'm Meron Omar. I come from Djibouti. Thank you for your hospitality.
Good morning. My name is Fadika Mariam from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Côte d'Ivoire. Thank you for your hospitality.
I'm Glutata from Togo, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Department of Defense and Security Affairs. Thank you.
My name is Hongo Ambura. I come from United Republic of Tanzania. I'm working with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Department of Asia and Australasia. Thank you for your hospitality.
Hello, my name is Jolene Seke. I come from Solomon Islands. I work for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and External Trade. Thank you for your hospitality.
Good afternoon. I'm Kairat. I'm from Kazakhstan. I'm glad to be in Karachi in Sindh province. Thank you for your hospitality.
Hello, I'm Abdul Wahid Afoda from Togo, working with the Minister of Foreign Affairs at International Cooperation Department. Thank you.
Good morning, Honorable Chief Minister. My name is Maestro Toma. I am from the island of Samoa, working at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. Thank you for having us today.
Good morning. My name is Sonay Özmen from Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. I'm working at Ministry of Foreign Affairs Consular Section. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm James McKay from the Republic of South Sudan. I'm working in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Good morning. I'm Lisbeth Guevara from Nicaragua. I work at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Good morning. My name is Serdar Durukan from Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Yashar from North Cyprus. Thank you for receiving us.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Nambairo Azena from Uganda, working with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Consular Department. Thanks a lot for inviting us today here.
Hello, my name is Bagdagul Japaralina. I'm from Kazakhstan. Thank you for having us today.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Salma Rajab Baraka from Ministry of Foreign Affairs and East Africa Cooperation. I'm from United Republic of Tanzania. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Kashif and I'm working here as Deputy Secretary.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Abdul Rahim Sheikh, Secretary of Secretariats.
Dr. Saeed Aman, Home Secretary, Government of Sindh.
My name is Hassan Naqvi and I'm Chairman Planning and Development Board, Government of Sindh.
I am Sohail Rajput. I am Chief Secretary, Government of Sindh.
Thank you very much, and once again I welcome you to the province of Sindh and its capital Karachi. What I'll do is try in the next 5 to 10 minutes just talk about the province of Sindh, the government of Sindh, the initiatives that we're taking, and also touch on the recent floods that we've experienced in the country and especially in the province of Sindh. You've come to Sindh, you've come to Karachi, the capital. We are proud. Pakistan came into being as a Muslim country, and Islam in this region Islam came into this region through the province of Sindh, and we are very proud of this. On top of this, when the country Pakistan was created by our founding fathers, Sindh Assembly was the first assembly to pass a resolution for creation of Pakistan, and so in that matter we also are proud that we consider ourselves as the creators of Pakistan. The province of Sindh has always been a cradle of peace. We are known as the land of Sufis and the land of mystics. We've had our problems, and especially starting the decade of the 80s, we had very serious law and order issues in the province of Sindh, where both our urban areas and our rural areas were hit by lawlessness. And this continued till about the middle of the last decade, till about 2013-14. And since then, and I'll just tell you, in 2013, Karachi was ranked as the 7th most dangerous city in the world. By the grace of Almighty Allah, with the sacrifices of our police services, the law enforcement agencies, the intelligence agencies, the resolve of the political government, we've been able to bring peace into this province and especially to this city. We used to have almost a terrorism incident on a daily basis in Karachi, and now what we are worried about is the street crime or the petty crime in the city, and which in a city of more than 20 million people would always be a problem. So from the 7th most dangerous city in the world, we are now, there's some ranking which is done, and we are more than 128 or some. We are improving every day. And with the revival of peace in the province, the present provincial government of Sindh, which is led by the Pakistan People's Party, and most recently in 2008, the Pakistan People's Party won the elections in the country and in the province of Sindh. And since 2008, we've had 3 successive governments by the Pakistan People's Party, and we've tried to economically revive this province. And I'll just talk about 2 or 3 very briefly 2 or 3 initiatives that we've done. First of all, I've got the Minister for Investment and the Minister in charge for the Public-Private Partnership Unit. We've got a very successful Public-Private Partnership Unit. We were the first province in the country which framed a law for public-private partnerships, knowing that we would not have the resources in the public sector to come up to the expectations of the people for development. So our public-private partnership came into being in 2009, 2010. We had the law in 2010, and as I told you, it's the most successful unit in the country, and it has been internationally recognized. The Economist magazine has ranked the public-private partnership initiative in Sindh as the 6th best in Asia. And we are one of the only 2 provinces, the subnational governments, who've been ranked along with sovereign states. And I'll just give an example. Sindh is ranked 6th, Pakistan is ranked at this was a couple of years ago, I'm sure we've been improved since then. Pakistan was ranked at number 12. What we've done in public-private partnership is not only done infrastructure projects like roads, bridges, but we've also gone into the power plants, we've also gone into the service sector, and we've got under the Public-Private Partnership Act, we have educational institutions and health facilities where the government brings in the resources and we use the private sector to manage and run these institutions, and it has been very successful. Secondly, I'd want to talk about our thar coal reserves and how we've been able to add to national economy. One of the greatest problems that we have is the lack of energy, the lack of power. And even now, majority of our energy is through imported oil or imported coal at the moment. We have the 6th largest coal reserves in the district of Tharparkar in Sindh. The coal reserves were discovered in 1992 during the government of late Prime Minister Shahid Mohtarama Benazir Bhutto. The Thar Coal Initiative was started. At that time, 2 power plants were being built, but unfortunately the subsequent governments put those on the back burner. And when the Pakistan People's Party government came back into power in 2008, we revived the Thar Coal project, and at this point in time, we've got almost 2,600 megawatts. The last 13 and 20 megawatts would come on board in the first quarter next year. And we are positively contributing towards the energy requirements of the country, and we are now one of the least cost energy producers in Pakistan, and the province of Sindh is contributing towards national economy in this manner. Not only coal, the province of Sindh has also got the largest gas reserves in the country. More than 70%, almost 70% of gas reserves of the country are from the province of Sindh. So, we call ourselves the energy basket of Pakistan. On the renewable sides, we've got the wind corridor in Sindh, which has a potential of producing 50,000 megawatts of wind energy. And at this point in time, we've got almost 2,000 megawatts in operation, 1,600 megawatts in operation in the province of Sindh. And there's several other projects. So apart from fossil fuel, we're also looking at clean energy. We've got the potential for solar parks, and we are currently focusing on creating not only rooftop solar projects for the residents of Sindh, but large solar parks in this province. The last thing that I'd want to talk about is the government's initiative of improving tertiary health. And I'll just mention a couple of hospitals that were previously, with the federal government. The National Institute of Cardiovascular Disease, which was the premier heart hospital in this country, was with the federal government until 2012. We took it over and we've turned it around, and this NICVD now has 9 branches in the province. Apart from that, we've got more than 20, almost 25 chest pain units in the province. And the hospital in Karachi does the largest number of primary angioplasties under one roof anywhere in the world, and all are done free of cost. The other institute that I want to talk about is the Jinnah Hospital or the Jinnah Postgraduate Medical Center, which again was with the federal government until 2012. After devolution, we took it over. We still had some, now it's been finally been resolved, some issues with the federal government in terms of control of these hospitals. But the government of Sindh, along with the private sector, invested very heavily on this hospital, and we've got state-of-art facilities in this hospital. I'll just like to talk about cancer facilities in this hospital, especially the radiation part. We've got 2 CyberKnife machines in this hospital which treats cancer, and they only, if I remember correctly, 22 or 23 countries in the world which has this facility. In Pakistan, the province of Sindh is the only province which has this in either the public or the private sector. And again, treatments are done. We treat 24, we can do 24 procedures a day. On these machines, we've got 2 of them, and they are done free of cost. And just to give you an idea, treatment, you can have a dozen treatments under this. One treatment plan cost anywhere between $60,000 to $100,000 anywhere else in the world, and the government of Sindh does this free of cost. And the last hospital that we want to talk about, going out of Karachi, there's a small town in the north of Sindh, north central part of Sindh, in the district of Khairpur. The town is called Gambat, and it's got a hospital called the Gambat Institute of Medical Sciences, which has done more liver transplants than any other hospital in Pakistan. And this is a very small town, you wouldn't even know about it, but it's, and the government of Sindh has recently, what we've done is we've designated the town of Gambat as a health city, because in this Gambat Institute of Medical Sciences, they do liver transplants, they do kidney transplants, they do cornea transplants, and they now have a cardiac facility which is equal to the NICVD. They are working on a cancer hospital in this institute. So these are sort of some success stories that we had. Lastly, I'll very briefly touch on the floods. Unfortunately, we had the worst flood in Pakistan we've experienced, or this region has experienced, in the last monsoon in 2022, starting from July. We had almost 11 times the average rain in the province, and because of that, there was huge inundation. 24 of our districts were affected. We lost almost 800 lives, and majority of them were children and women and children. We've had 1.8 million houses which have been either partially or fully damaged. We've had we've got 3.7 million acres of agricultural land, with standing crops destroyed. We are grateful to the international community for helping us during these difficult times. A lot of aid did come in, and we are planning a donors conference in the month of January, and we're hoping that we'd be able to get help from the international community for rehabilitation, because our irrigation network has been severely damaged, our road network has been severely damaged, and most of all, I told you, 1.8 million houses, and we need to help the people rebuild these houses. We've tried to do our best during the relief operations. 10 cities were made. Almost 6 million people were left homeless. By the grace of Almighty Allah, we've been able to evacuate 80% of the inundated areas, but still 15 to 20% are left. And as I said, we've had floods in the past, but this one was, the quantum of this flood was far more than any of the 3 previous floods that I've seen in the recent past, starting 2010. And so we are in the process of rehabilitation, and this is a difficult time for a province, but we have the resolve to make sure that we rehabilitate each and every person in this province which has been disturbed by the floods. What I guess we're going to do is have brief presentations from Hassan. You're going to present? But make it very brief so that we can have time for questions before we disperse. Hassan,
So just a brief comment. Continuing from what Chief Minister was mentioning, I think since we have all the diplomats sitting here, this climate change, because you are sitting here in Sindh, which has witnessed one of the gravest manifestation of what catastrophe can come through the climate change, and the policies which have been made by the developed world for using the fossil fuel for energy. Now the effect are being witnessed in the south. The development happened in the north, but effects are being witnessed in south. And since Sindh has shown to the world that how the policies which have happened over last couple of centuries are now affecting the environment and the climate. And for this, I think we need to have a global response, because you can't segregate the environment or climate from one country to another. You have the borders which are there, but the climate we all share with each other. So whatever one country does affects the another country. So at global level, I think there has to be global diplomacy, because unless we have a unified global response to this, we will not be able to address this issue of the climate change. The recent event at Sharm el-Sheikh, COP27, I think the one good thing which has happened is establishment of loss and damage funds, and Pakistan took the lead in that. And as diplomats, I think we shall take this idea forward and try to get this fund established as soon as possible, so that the developing countries, which are the major affectees of this global phenomena, shall get some relief through the resources which the developed world has. Thank you.
Next, please. So this has been our development strategy. Our priorities have always been mostly in this sequence. Education has always received a top priority in our spendings. And as CM Saab mentioned, we have worked a lot on improving our health facilities. So this also figures in our development strategy. Then again, increasing agricultural productivity, providing safe drinking water, and then definitely improving mass transit systems for major cities of the province, and again, nutrition support and community infrastructures. Next, please. So this is how we spend our budgets, and our development portfolio is aligned like this. We have a total allocation of around 330 billion rupees, which amounts to around $1.5 trillion. And this year around, this has been increased to 459 billion rupees, which is almost $2 trillion. But next, please. We spend most of our development budget on the ongoing schemes which have started in previous years. We try to restrict ourselves on account of the new schemes which are to be taken up in the current year. Next, please. So as you can see in this pie chart, our major spendings go towards improving road network. And as far as education and health are concerned, our spendings are also being done through non-development budget or recurrent budget, so that's why you see a smaller percentage here, but it does not mean that we are spending less on education or health. Next, please. We are also a recipient of loans from international donors. We have almost 21 ongoing projects around amounting to 330 billion rupees or $1.5 trillion. This year, after the emergence of floods and this emergency, we have been able to almost double this amount, and we have commitments of another around $1,300 million or $1.3 billion from the donor agency. So our loans and development portfolio on account of donor financing would be reaching up to around $3 trillion. Next, please. Now, this entire development spending has turned upside down because of the emergence of floods. As you can see, and as Chief Secretary Saab mentioned, Pakistan has been worst hit by this climate emergency. Although we are contributing on hardly 0.8% to global carbon footprint, but Pakistan is ranked amongst the top 10 countries devastated by environment emergency. So as you can see, right from 2010 up to 2022, we have been faced with the riverine floods. In 2022, recent floods, which have been the largest in terms of quantum and magnitude in comparison to previous years. Next, please. So out of 29 districts, 23 districts of the entire province have been calamity hit, and they have been worst hit by the floods, and almost 1.8 million houses have been damaged. Lives lost, as mentioned earlier, is around 800 people. Next, please. This is how the relief activities were taken up by the government of Sindh. They are still ongoing, and this is a massive activity which was primarily taken up by government of Sindh through its own resources. Next, please. Now, this is to give you some measure of the damages, and this is how we will portray our case in upcoming donors conference, which is supposed to be held in mid of January. The housing damages are 55% or the largest in terms of quantum, and 20,000 of our schools have been damaged out of a total number of 40,000. Road network has been damaged, and our irrigation network has faced a huge damage. Next, please. Now, to sum it all, this flood emergency has caused a loss of around 4.8% of GDP. At the start of the year, the GDP prediction was on the higher side, but we estimate that it would go down at least by 4.8%. And this has been assessed by post-disaster need assessment, which was done by federal government. And next, please. We expect that poverty in Sindh would be increased by 8.9 and 9 percentage points, and almost 9 million people would be added below poverty line. Next, please. Now, this is the plan which we have drafted for our rehabilitation in post-flood scenario. The resources from international donors and provincial government, they have all been combined, and there is a huge financing gap of around $6.3 billion. As assessed by the disaster need assessment, the entire damage amounts to around $7.8 billion. $1.3 billion is coming from donor agency. So this huge financing gap of around $6.3 billion would be pitched to the international donors through donors conference so that we can complete this financing gap. Next, please. The city of Karachi, being the big metropolis and port city, receives importance from provincial government, and these are major projects which have been taken up by the provincial government. These are for improvement of its open spaces, its infrastructure, water and sewage system, and its solid waste management system. Again, we have few major projects on our transportation sectors which are already under execution. Next, please. As mentioned by Chief Minister Saab, we have already taken some major projects in public-private partnership, and public-private partnership has been a success story in the province of Sindh. Thank you.
Any questions, Shaukat sir? Isaac, you want to add something? Questions, I think that, yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Chief Minister, for a brief presentation. My question will go directly to Planning and Development Department. I saw in his presentations about the budget projections of health and education. They were less low. I just want to know what is the percentage literacy rate in the region, and why is it that the percentage of health is 2 or 3% before than another? What does it project to the health sector?
As I mentioned in my presentation, that health and education do get a top priority in our budgetary allocations. And for last so many years, we have been able to complete our projects in health and education, especially in tertiary health. We have also combined the services of private sector and through our public-private partnerships. So our tertiary healthcare system is in very good state in comparison with the rest of the country. As far as this rehabilitation effort is concerned, we have been able to repurpose some of the amount from our ongoing projects and reallocating some amount from our new projects so that we can subsidize and finance our rehabilitation effort. But still the amount is far too much for rehabilitation effort and reconstruction effort to be taken care of by the provincial government itself. So that's why we are looking forward to donor agencies and international agencies to come up and finance our development needs. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. My question is regarding the poverty, the increment in poverty line. During the presentations, I saw something like that from 7 point something to 9, that the poverty is increasing. So is there any strategic plan to counterattack this? Because we all know poverty is related to social crimes and other things.
It has been estimated that around 22% of the entire population of the country is living under poverty line. But the emergence of COVID added a substantial number. If 22.5% of the entire population, a population of around 2 million was added. Now with this emergence of flood, another 9 million people have been added to the number of people living below the poverty line. The best thing that the government can do is to provide enabling environment for economic regeneration and economic activity. So our first priority is definitely to build our infrastructure to previous position. And since Pakistan and Sindh itself has an agro-based industry, so we are focused on the upcoming winter season, winter sowing season, in which the government is providing huge subsidies to the farmers so that their agriculture gets into good position. Our wheat crop is not affected, and we have a semblance of food security as well. Apart from this, we already have a poverty elevation program in which we provide microfinance, small loans to the people who have been living under the poverty line. We have Enterprise Development Fund, which provides similar sort of facility, business opportunities. So these activities are being sped up. We have been fast-tracked with the help of donor agencies. We have some commitments regarding a few programs related to poverty elevation. That's how we are addressing it.
Sure.
Thank you. We know a lot about the security issues in the region, and I would like to know how does it affect your general budget? Thank you.
You want to, I'll just quickly, and then I'll ask the IG also, Inspector General, to talk about the security situation. After education and health, the third area that we sort of spend the most money in our budget is security, to maintain law and order. We've, as I told you, we've had very bad times, and the last decade, the first half of the last decade was especially problematic. What we've done since then, though we've been increasing the police budget and the security budget every year, and in recent times, what we've done is the specialty areas. For example, the counter-terrorism department, we are investing a lot to build its capacity. The special branch, which is our intelligence side of the police, we are building its capacity, giving it more modern and technologies, devices. So, it is having a large impact, but it is necessary, because unless we are able to maintain law and order, give comfort to our residents, to our citizens, we would not be able to do better on the development side or on the economic side. So, that's my reply. I'll also ask the Inspector General to add to it.
Definitely, security has a large impact on development of any area, because the foreign investors, the local investors, they do believe that if there's a security, then they feel that their investment is safe. So the government is very cognizant about creating such an environment that not only security is ensured, but the sense of security should prevail. We are very mindful to invest in the projects which can create such security environment. Like internationally, as Chief Minister Saab has already told you, that we have now problem of street crime, especially in Karachi. We are doing a project with the e-tag. The e-tagging is now very popular in America, in Europe, and even Gulf countries, where the repeat criminals, they are being tagged so that their surveillance is being carried out. We are very heavy on narcotics peddlers, because we do believe that narcotics, the area where it has a nexus with the terrorism, it's a nexus with the crime. So we have a lot of initiatives with reference to the rehabilitation. We have initiatives that we want to control this menace. Besides, we are going for safe city projects. The first initiative, we have 40 toll plazas over across the province. We want to have a smart cameras there so that we can restrict the movement of criminals. We have a very good initiative with reference to hotel eye, with reference to travel eye. We keep on a watch on criminals so that we can detect their movement and having their apprehension as early as possible. We have also a mechanism that we give incentive to criminals, we give incentive to the public and the police for notifying for the hardened criminals to have their apprehension money. There are certain criminals, they have been already notified, and a few are in process. So I think as you see, you Google it, we had some security problem few years back, but now the security situation of cities, especially Karachi, which used to be the worst, having worst law and order and a crime situation, now it's better than most of the regional cities like Delhi, like Kuala Lumpur, like Dhaka. It's better than these cities. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the questions and the explanation you give us.
I have two questions, and if you permit, one comment. The first question is related to the energy, because in the first presentation, you mentioned that you import in order to compensate the supply of energy, and I heard talking about coal. So my questions is regarding the environmental dimension of using of coal, because we all know that, as you presented in the presentation, that Pakistan has been affected recently by the flood, and we know all that it is due to what we know about the climate change and so on. So is there any policy as far as the fight against greenhouse effects, because you're still using coal and you have been victim to the climate environment? This is the first question, if you allow me to go to the, through the presentation, when you give us the budget, I see that you have a focus on the road network with a very huge percentage. So I would like to know if the budget is namely from the government of Pakistan, or you have some support abroad, because I see that it's very huge, the road infrastructures you have. I want to know if you have a very precise partnership in terms of road infrastructures. So if you permit to go to the comment. Okay, for the comment, well, I just want to express my gratitude to the hospitality, first of all. I should confess that before coming to Pakistan, when I told people that we are coming to Pakistan, Pakistan, you heard what happened to Pakistan? There are floods, there are this and that and so on. But I'm very impressed by the management of the catastrophe, and we are very impressed because it means that we have a good team of management of crisis, and we present our condolences to the victims, especially for the damages are very huge, and still you have a very good management. So I want to thank you on that. Thank you.
Let's start with the end. Thank you very much for the compliment, and it was a huge challenge, and there were times when in the month of September especially, when we thought everything would break down and we would not be able to do this. But I'm grateful to the support that we got, especially from the flood affectees who cooperated. They had the most difficult time, and I'd give them most of the credit for being able to sustain these very difficult times. But we still have a long way to go for rehabilitation, and we need to keep that resolve. The first question I will answer, yes, we are aware of the environmental effects. So first of all, the power projects that we are setting up in Tharparkar, we are making sure that we not only follow the very stringent guidelines of the World Bank, and apart from that, all guidelines for safe environmentally safe production of power for coal is being observed in Tharparkar. I'm not saying that obviously it's not the most preferred fuel at this point in time, but the options that we have, because apart from that, all we've got some hydel production, but a majority, what we are substituting is also fossil fuel, diesel, which we are substituting, and the difference is not that huge. But having said that, we are equalizing that, or we are balancing that with clean energy. And at this point in time, our production of renewables is the same as our production from coal. And we'd like to maintain that going forward. In fact, we'd like to have more energy based on renewables than coal. And for coal, we're looking at alternatives to use convert it to diesel and use it as convert it as diesel to reduce our import bill for diesel. Apart from that, we are investing very heavily in the environment. In Tharparkar alone, what we've done is that every acre of land, they need to have, I don't know, 10 trees, something, and we're planting those trees. We have a very aggressive mangrove plantation drive in the province. We've got a huge coastal belt and mangroves, which plantation we've increased by several. We've got the Guinness record for the most mangroves planted in a single day, and we beat our own record. And now we've stopped, till somebody else takes over, then we'll start another drive. So, we have the most trees planted in a day. We have the record for the highest and the second highest at the time being. So yes, we are very well aware of the environmental effects, but our coal, the energy production from coal, even now would be about 2 or 3% of our total energy requirement, and maybe a little more than that, compared to almost more than 50% in the developed world. So yes, we know that it'll create problems, and we've been sufferers. We've recently suffered because of climate, but don't have many alternatives for energy production. And as I said, we're trying to mitigate the effects by going into clean energy and improving the environment. But I take your question as a valid question that yes, we need to be aware of this. If you can answer the second question, Hassan.
So second question was regarding expenditure on our communication network, typically roads. So whether it has been done by the provincial government itself or it is being done with the help of the federal government. This expenditure on roads and building roads, has been entirely done by the provincial government itself. We get our share from the federal government. The taxes, all the taxes, primarily most of the taxes are being collected by the federal government, and they are divided amongst the provinces according to a set share. We get our share and we utilize it as decided by the provincial legislature. So this effort on the roads is being done entirely by the provincial government.
So thank you very much for taking the question from the group. I know we have already overshot the time for the meeting. Thank you very much for taking the question from the group, sir.
Thank all of you for being here. And I hope you have a good time in Pakistan and you take back good memories from our country. Thank you.